How's it going, guys? This is Mac, and we're going to start our day trip in Washington, D.C. on the right foot by getting breakfast at Denny's. If I look a little bit tired in this clip, that's because I am. I slept in the back seat of my car on the side of the road because this was a totally spontaneous and unplanned trip. I didn't want to spend a lot of money, and I don't really know much about Washington, D.C. I kind of just wander around until I find interesting things, such as the United States Navy Memorial. I really liked the intricacy of these sculptures and the cool 3D effect that they have. The depictions of World War II, the Vietnam War, and the Korean War were pretty amazing. Right across the street is the United States Archives building. I had to get a shot of the architecture just because I loved the columns and the leaflets that sat along the tops of them. It really made me feel like I was in the Roman Republic. Directly inside this building is one of the original copies of the Magna Carta. This is only one of the most important documents in human history, and to be in its presence was amazing. Most constitutions around the world have been influenced in part by this very document. It has a lot of important history behind it. There's an exhibit for this photographer that specialized in coal miners. It was kind of cool. I really felt like Tyler Childers would have fit in here. Across from that is the Rotunda, and this is the home of the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, and the Constitution. And there is just an air of reverence in this room. The gravity is just magnified. I don't know what it was, but I just walked in there and I felt it. I had a hard time not tearing up, but being in the presence of these documents was just, I don't know, life-changing. It really was. I owe so much of my way of life to these documents, what they stand for, what they symbolize. I love where I live. I love my country. I know it's not perfect, but I really think the principles that are embedded within these documents are correct and true, and I love them, and being in their presence was, I don't know, really just kind of a spiritual experience. The security guards were very attentive to everybody who walked in this room. I think they'd had some protesters recently or something. But I just am awestruck by the handwriting. I think most of these documents were handwritten by Thomas Jefferson, if I'm not mistaken. And just look at that. It's perfect, like the lines are perfectly straight. I don't know. I think that was an art form. Handwriting back then was more of an art form than it was just a way to put words on paper. In the gift shop, I found a cool little Abraham Lincoln reward poster. It was for the guy that killed him. I didn't know this, but there are actually tons of Smithsonian museums. I thought there was just one. But this first one I visit is the Museum of Natural History. There were a lot of people there. It was really, really big. I only scratched the surface. I really didn't even get to see everything that they had. But I especially loved the fossils. Don't ask me what we're looking at because I don't know. I just thought it would be really, really cool to show you guys what I was seeing. And just imagine that was an actual creature on this planet. That is horrifying to think. Also, about you, but I thought that the asteroid theory was kind of debunked. I guess not. That is still the predominant scientific theory out there. I don't know why in my mind I thought they had come up with a different explanation for why the dinosaurs were extinct. But the mammoth was really, really crazy. I feel like these videos don't do them justice. They felt a lot bigger than how they look in these recordings. Also, I can't help but to think of night at the museum every time I go to museums like this. We have a really cool fossilized skeleton of a mammoth there. And some, I think they're, what are they, Bronchiosaurus? I call them long necks. I don't know what their actual name is. We have a prehistoric alligator that looks absolutely horrifying. I thought it was funny, they had like actual scientists in this museum working on these fossils, and there's just this glass wall, and we're kind of just, looking at them as if they are zoo animals. We had a cool little fossilized tree trunk, and it teaches you how to count the rings and date them. I thought that this dart gun was cool. It looked like one of those Halo assault rifles. It's crazy that those can take down full-sized giraffes. These are definitely haunted, and if you touched them, you'd probably get possessed. Landlords would be charging like $2,000 for this hut nowadays, man. I thought this was pretty awesome. I want to get something like this in my front yard eventually. It's just a really cool little totem pole. It was huge, by the way. And I forget the name of this. We see a lot of shark movies, and those are scary, but this thing totally looks otherworldly. We have a megalodon jaw right there. Here we're in the ocean section of the museum. They have they have a giant whale hanging up. Have a stuffed grizzly bear, and I'm so scared of bears, dude. Those are the most freaking crazy creatures ever. We have a vampire bat on somebody's foot. Kind of scary. I don't know if you guys knew this, but I actually lived in Australia for a while, so I was happy to see the kangaroos. This was crazy. Apparently, all mammal DNA can get traced back to this thing. This one rat-looking thing. We are all related to that rat. There's the number one killer in Africa, the hippo, next to a giraffe getting a drink of water, and I don't know why I'd never seen that before, but it looks hilarious. We have some lions taking down a water buffalo. Whoever did the taxidermy work absolutely murdered it. I thought this was pretty cool. I think owls are really cool creatures. There's Hedwig from Harry Potter. They had an exhibit that went over light pollution, and, I didn't know much about it, but after being there and seeing what they had to say, I was low-key kind of convinced that we should do better with using lights. I think we use it excessively and unnecessarily. There's some tips there for how to reduce your usage. I mean, the night sky is so pretty. It is so pretty. And to be able to see that, like in your backyard, I just think that should be available for you to see. So if we all just kind of work easy on our light usage, I think that would give everybody some more access to it. This little chart was interesting too. They kind of projected the amount Revolution. And then at the end, it says 40% of Americans live amid such a wash of electric light that their eyes never transition to night vision. That's insane. On a different floor of this museum, they had like the geography and geology section. Honestly, I don't know much about rocks, but it was really cool seeing all the different variations that they had on display. Some of them were breathtaking. It is insane that the world and that the earth just forms these things. Like, look at that. That looks like it should be on a different planet. That looks like Venom. I thought these crystals were pretty awesome. There's a really giant geode, probably the biggest one I've ever seen. You could stick your arm in that thing. And then we start getting into the gemstones. And forgot to turn the sound off. But they have the world's largest flawless quartz sphere. And I can like see the people on the other side as if they were upside down. We have a pair of earrings that were owned by, I don't know, some French queen. There's a crown and a diamond necklace. It really just started to feel like I was in some jewelry store at some point. We have an emerald necklace here that was designed for some Spanish royalty. Yeah, probably priceless, along with these emerald necklaces and rings. They are breathtaking, they really are. I don't know if I could ever see anybody actually wearing them. They're really, bold, but okay. There is the United States Congress building. And here we are at the George Washington Monument. I didn't realize how massive this thing was. I guess when it was constructed, it was the tallest building in the world. Since then, taller buildings have been erected. But it really is massive. Got to see some helicopters flying past, probably doing some military drills. Thought that was interesting. And then here we are at the World War II Memorial. I had to get a shot of my home state, Utah, one of the best states on the face of the earth. And here we are. They have a cool little fountain area, and they have this memorial slot here for every star. I think it was 10 lives lost. And as you can see, it's just terrible. The costs of war. Down a ways, you can see the Lincoln Memorial there. And it was really packed, and they were doing some construction, so it looked a little raunchy on the outside, but it was pretty cool to get to see this in person. You see it in movies and TV all the time, so being there was pretty awesome. I got another shot of the Washington Memorial from the outer side of the park. And here I am at the American History Museum. They have all these really cool relics from the Revolutionary War, all of these muskets. I'm sure those things kick like crazy to fire. I thought that this guy looked hilarious. He'd be a dude in Night of the Museum that would be one of the main comic relief characters. There's a stool that George Washington sat in. They have all this, those two chairs. That's where General Grant and General Lee were when they concluded the Civil War. Here's the World War II propaganda posters. I think the art style is actually really cool. I would actually like to collect those and have a few of them in my apartment. But there was so much to read, so much to see. We have some, I really don't know what this was, but a bunch of TVs stacked up, something to do with the Vietnam War. I have a little helicopter there. I actually at this point got kicked out of the museum because it was 5 o'clock and they close. So I only got to see like half of this museum. I decided to go get dinner at this barbecue place. I can't remember the name of it, but they made a really delicious brisket sandwich. And guys, that was my trip to DC. I barely scratched the surface. There was so much to see, but it was a fun trip, and I'm glad that I could bring you guys along. Anyways, that's gonna be it for tonight.